Hello, microbloggers. My name is Cheri, and today I'm going to show you how to self-publish a novel. We're going to talk about what self-publishing is, who should consider doing it, and how. I've self-published 12 novels so far, and I say this not because I'm an expert, because I do not feel like one, but to say that this is something you can learn how to do. In essence, we're talking about pulling together all of the pieces that make a book and uploading them to distribution channels and then managing those channels. I'm not going to talk about book marketing today because that's kind of a whole different animal. But let's just talk about the publishing process. What's involved, who should do it, and how. I chose this topic because I want you to know, if you want to be an author, you can be. Not 10 years from now, when Simon & Schuster decides that you're the one, not someday when you find an agent, but now. If you have a book that you've written and you're proud of it and you are ready to share it with the world, self-publishing is a way for you to get that work out in front of audiences who can enjoy it. All self-publishing means is that you are both the writer and the publisher of the work. In essence, it means you now have two jobs. A writer's job is multifaceted. We're learning how to tell stories, how to have correct pacing, how to develop robust characters, how to create vivid descriptions. There's so much to learn. But like any job, a writer's job has many different aspects, pieces that we're always learning more about. And publishing is similar. In publishing, you're going to learn how to write the blurb, which is kind of like the little resume that goes on the back of your book that gets people to buy or click. You're going to be paying your taxes, setting up business accounts, learning how to format a book, or how to hire someone to do that for you. Really, we're talking about small business skills. And these are things that you can learn over time. These are things that you can hire out the pieces that you don't want to do. But it's just a job. There's nothing magical about publishing. These are things that you can learn how to do. An important thing to know is that the publishing world has changed a lot over the last 10 years. On the whole, most readers don't care who published a book. All they want is they want a good story at a price they can afford. There is money in self-publishing. Because you're earning a higher royalty per sale than you would get in traditional publishing, you can make a living selling fewer books. If you earn $1 or $2 or $3 or $4 per book sold, and if you can sell those books forever, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, that adds up to a decent source of income. Now granted, self-publishing is still a difficult way to earn a living. Most people do it part-time as a side gig. I don't think that self-publishing in that sense is any easier than traditional publishing. It just means that you don't have to sell as many books to earn the kind of money you would get going through an agent. You should consider self-publishing if, like me, you're impatient and you want to publish quickly, if you're willing to learn about all those publishing tasks, if you want to retain all rights and profits to your work, if you write genre fiction, and it's definitely a bonus if you're a control freak who likes to do everything herself. Now, literary fiction and children's books are not great for self-publishing. People looking for literary fiction are looking to the official channels for legitimacy, for the reviews in the New York Times review of books. And the self-publishing, while it's perfectly respectable and most readers don't care, literary fiction readers do care. Also, children's books tend to go through schools. There's a lot of physical book distribution. There's catalogs. It's kind of a whole different distribution model. And therefore, self-publishing is difficult if you're trying to reach children. That may change over the next 5 years. But for now, children's books, I'd say you may want to go traditional. So here's my bottom line. Why self-publish? Self-publishing allows authors to develop a career at their own pace, to experiment with genres, to find their own audience, even if it isn't big, to earn higher royalties per sale, to learn from mistakes, and to choose what they'll write, balancing creative interests and financial concerns. Let's talk about how to do it. Step 1, write your book. I know, that's so easy, right? Well, if you would like to earn some income from your book, ideally you're going to write in an existing genre in alignment with those genre's expectations, but in your own unique voice and with your own attitude. What do I mean by genre expectations? If you're writing a romance novel, most readers will expect a happily ever after at the end. If you are writing a murder mystery, most readers of that genre expect a murder and a resolution. It's important to understand what readers expect, because while a book is art, and while a book is self-expression, if you'd like to make an income from it, it is also a product that you are asking other people to spend their hard-earned money and a lot of time on. So just understand that there are audiences, they do have expectations, and you may do a little bit better financially if you aim yourself that direction. That isn't to say you can't be creative and you can't write what you want. Certainly, I have written books that do not fit neatly in an existing genre. I've had a blast writing them. I'm very proud of them. They don't tend to sell super well. Step 2, edit your book. Now, there are 2 questions for editing. 1, is the book copy edited? Is it as free of grammar, spelling, clarity, and consistency mistakes as you can make it? This is critical. If you cannot afford an editor, and if you have some money, I would recommend hiring an editor. But if you can't afford an editor, trade your book with another writer. Find someone who can do a copy edit while you do a copy edit of their work. It is impossible to fully proofread or edit a book with the same eyes that wrote it. Trust me, I have tried. But there's another question for editing. Is my story entertaining to people who aren't me? This question is a trap. Now, this is my opinion, but I have seen many authors waste years trying to kind of micromanage their book into being something that everybody's gonna like. What that usually does is it makes your book worse, and it's also a waste of time that you could be spending writing your next book. It is scary to put your book out into the world. Every time I hit publish, I do a dance, the dance of commerce, but I also feel kind of sick to my stomach. I imagine it going out there and the entire world judging it. This neuroticism is just part of the creative process, and we must accept it. But don't let this second question stop you from moving forward with your writing career. In self-publishing, if you put out a book and everyone hates it, everyone hates it, first of all, that'd be very rare. But you can take it down if you want. You can edit it again if you want. You can rewrite it. You can take it down and publish under a different name. You always have options. I'm not recommending you do those things. But don't worry too much about the second question. Write a book that you love. Put it out in the world and give it time. Over time, people who like what it is that you have to offer will find you. But don't skimp on that first question. Poorly edited books really piss people off. Next, you're going to package your book. Your book, I've heard it said that your package is kind of like a promise to the reader. They look at the cover and they want to know what genre it is. They want to know what tone it is. And they want the cover to be attractive. This is, by the way, not the same as making a cover that you are happy with. Again, we're talking about genre expectations. You can usually buy a pre-made cover that's pretty good for about $80. You can hire a custom cover artist. You can make your own covers. This is generally not recommended, but if you have good graphic design skills, when you can match what's expected in the market, you can do it. And you're also going to package your book by writing your sales copy, which is that blurb that goes on the back of the book. The blurb is really a teaser. Hey, here's what the book is about, here's the question, here's the tone, but you're not giving them the whole thing. As a self-published author, you will need to choose a distribution model. The 2 main paths are publish wide, meaning your book goes everywhere, Nook and Kobo and Google Play, as well as Amazon, in as many stores as possible. Or you can publish just on Amazon. If you cringed at that second option, you are not alone. But I must confess that personally, when I swallowed my pride and began publishing some of my books on Amazon exclusively, my income went up. And that's because Amazon offers a second revenue stream, extra money from their Kindle Unlimited program, which is kind of like the Netflix of books. But there are downsides to exclusivity, so research this and make a choice that you will be satisfied with. This is something that most of us authors, we go back and forth on all the time. We do not like exclusivity, but for many of us, it does pay better. You're going to format your book. Typically, that means an EPUB document. You can use software like Vellum to do this. It's kind of pricey, only works on the Mac. You can do a free formatting through an online distributor like Smashwords or Draft2Digital. You can hire someone on Fiverr to do it. If you're tech savvy, you can even look up the EPUB standard and code it yourself. You'll also need a PDF interior if you're going to do a paperback. Next comes, I'm going to jokingly say, the fun part. For me, this is not the fun part. The day where you go to all of the retailer websites and you upload your file. You're going to upload your correctly formatted ebook, your book cover, your metadata, your pricing, and that blurb that goes on the back. Metadata is things like the categories and keywords and description that are included in with the book. It also helps with searches in the store. So do spend a little bit of time looking up metadata and how to format that correctly. So you do your uploads, you wait, not usually more than a day or two. And then you can say yay, because you have published a book. Your book is out there in the world for sale. Celebrate however you like to celebrate. Now, of course, comes the important task of starting the next book. Do not be one of those self-published authors that works on one book forever, publishes it, and then never does another thing. I mean, you can. That is absolutely an option. If you're writing for self-expression and joy, feel free. But if you are trying to build an audience to keep them happy, they are going to expect more from you. So you want to get started on that next book. You will, of course, have to advertise. It is worth noting that people will not buy your book just because you upload it. I'll tell you the classic story. It's your first book. You've been writing for years. You have been suffering for your art. And then finally comes the day when it's ready and you upload it and you are so happy and you sell maybe like 10 or 50 copies because your friends and your family bought one. And then it is crickets for like a year. And you're like, oh my God, I suck. Well, this is perfectly normal. In self-publishing, it's perfectly normal. In traditional publishing, they're looking for you to make a big splash. You know, your book has kind of a limited shelf life in a sense. You know, everyone's getting lots of attention. They're launching the book. They're throwing parties. They're on TikTok. They're on Instagram. They're going crazy. As a self-published author, you don't have to do that stuff. You put your book out and you build your audience gradually by releasing the second book and the third, and by showing people that you're going to be there consistently, giving them works that they love. So I'd like you to know about a few helpful services. First on my list is Draft2Digital. I really like these guys. So what you can do is you can upload a file, like let's say a Word document with your book in it. They will turn it into an EPUB. They will turn it into a paperback interior. You check the boxes for all the stores that you want your book to be in, even things like libraries. You hit submit. They take those formatted books and boom, they push them out to all of those distributors. Then they gather up the data, they collect the money, and they drop it in your bank account. This is a really cool service. Now, there are some downsides. The reporting is slow. They take about 15% of your net royalties. And then you don't have access to retailer tools. So I use Amazon Ads. I use Kobo's promotion tab. These are resources that I could not use if I was going through a third-party distributor. But if you're getting started and all this publishing stuff just seems like too much, Draft2Digital is a fantastic resource. You should know that there are affordable covers available. By going to places like the Book Cover Designer or Rocking Book Covers, you can download a pre-made cover for about, like $50, $80, maybe $100. Depends on the cover. You give the artist your book title and your name, they put it in there for you, and you're good to go. They can even help you out with series covers. So just know that a book cover is really important because it is, in essence, what gets people to click on that book. And you can buy one that looks professionally made, probably for a lot less money and effort than you'd spend trying to make one yourself. I also like to mention that the self-publishing world is full of sharks and angels. There are plenty of people out there who want you to get into their $800 e-course on how to customize your Facebook ads. And as a starting self-publisher, you don't need that information, and it's just going to be a waste of money. Likewise, you probably shouldn't do what I did, maybe like spend $2,000 on getting your first book edited. That's a lot of money. I'm never going to earn that. It's going to take me years to earn that money back on that book. So it isn't always that people are sharks. It's that there are services out there geared towards writers who have a lot of money, and those services are sometimes good, but you're not there yet. There are also services that are more than thinly layered scams, trying to teach you their marketing trick to earn you $1 million. What I'm saying is, be frugal. Be careful with your money when you're starting out. You need that money for your first few covers, and maybe for a little bit of editing. But there's great resources to help you. There are podcasts like Six Figure Authors and Writing Excuses. There's great self-publishing books like those written by Patty Jansen and Alana Johnson. And you can join a local writers group. Very helpful, particularly when you're trying to bootstrap your first few books. You can trade edits with other authors, which is a great resource. So that's what I brought. I hope you found this presentation helpful. And if you have any questions for me, I will be in the chat.